Hi, I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer on this Thursday night. My phone and email has been blowing up all day with people from all over the country actually asking me questions about what's going on in that school district in Eugene, Oregon, where the teacher assigned a sexual fantasy assignment. The governor's come out and she says, and of Oregon says she's appalled. Parents are appalled. They had a school board meeting last night. I obviously live in Montana and can't be there, but I had many people report back to me on what happened. And so tonight we're going to have some interview with a couple of the parents we had last night who are going to be on to talk about that. And then later in the show, we're going to talk to Dr. Michael Bratlin about what he saw. And also he has a special announcement that has to do with the 4J school board. So tonight is the deadline, or I should say when this airs was at 5 o'clock. To get your information in. I think it is today. And the school board parents are hoping for a change there. So our sponsors tonight, Albert Taylor Endless Possibilities, an organization in Eugene, Oregon and Springfield, Oregon, that helps people with different abilities to live their lives in a great way. So we're going to hear a message from them. Also, BS Free MD, Doctors Tim and May Hindmarsh. Good Lord. They're going to get me for that one. They do a podcast and we help them get the word out about it. They're medical experts. They talk about very controversial things and you're going to really enjoy it. It's on your Spotify or any of your favorite podcast stations. They'll be on there. And our other sponsor then is Dr. Michael Bratlin. So let's get right to the topic here. We're going to get the parents on here. We have our open to our show and we'll get right to our topic for tonight. 5 years of asking questions. Travel, people, ideas. Yes, politics and religion. Get real with me, Rick Dancer. Almost feels like it's right. You know, like this is where I'm supposed to be. So I've been getting emails all day and from people wanting to know what happened at the 4J school board meeting. And interestingly enough, all of these emails have not just been from Oregon. They've been from viewers from all over the country. People saw this. They're shocked by what happened. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, I can show you one more time an assignment that was handed out to Churchill High School students. These are juniors and seniors, asking them to create a sexual fantasy with no penetration of any kind or oral sex, but they could use all these little massage oils and stuff like that. The idea was to show that you can receive love and physical attention without having sex. But parents are like, wait a minute. And last night there was a school board meeting. The school board hasn't said very much at all. One school board member, I did hear Bill London saying from KPNW saying a few things that he had said. No one else has really commented publicly on it. And last night was the first school board meeting since this all started. And fellow troublemakers, Beth and Justin, join me now as parents. So, we did a little live with you, Beth, but that was just to let people know what was going on. I've talked to Dr. Michael Bratlin, who's running for the school board because he was going to do it maybe. This pushed him over the top. So I got a little bit of his rendition. What were parents saying? How many showed up? What was going on? Kind of give people a report of what happened.
It was standing room only from what I could see, although we were, of course, front and center. Standing room only, and parents were not just verbally upset and expressing their rage, but you could see physically, they were shaking with anger. They were mad. They were pounding the table. They were so upset and just so serious. And they could hardly, it's almost like they had to withhold. I know Justin had to take a deep breath.
Oh yeah, I did.
They wanted to, all of them wanted, I think, to wring every single person's neck and maybe worse. So
what was the message, Justin, to the board?
Basically, they admitted what they did was wrong. They let that material slip through. They calling it part of the syllabus, but the actual people of the syllabus say, no, that is not approved.
So the district is still saying it's the syllabus.
Yeah.
It's part of the program.
Yep.
And they're going to review.
And they still don't know where it came from, though.
What do you mean? If it's part of the syllabus, shouldn't you be able to go into they said that parents could look over and I had some people write me too and say, well, can't they go through and look at this curriculum? So you can't find this.
Okay. So
They're tricky.
before they removed these two, well,
Oh,
but we're
okay.
speaking of the one, before they removed it, you could get into the syllabus and it'll tell you what it is and you can click on it. And then it'll go down to the bottom and all you get is whatever's written there. So if there's anything the teacher's showing in the classroom, like say the activities that are on the assignment, it's not going to tell us the activities on the app. That's for the teacher and the students to know, not us.
So from the meeting last night, and I know the board's not talking about this to anybody, so that's why I'm talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Is there this curriculum is used in other school districts in Oregon?
That's what they say.
The governor was outraged by this assignment.
Yeah.
But the Department of Education has also approved this curriculum, not necessarily this assignment. However, the district is saying this assignment is part of the curriculum.
Yeah. But they don't know where it came from.
Okay, so
It's
this is kind of
Yeah.
like it's kind of like dealing with national politics right now.
Yeah.
Who in the hell is in charge?
exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
I mean,
And then
who's running the nut house?
to sit there and hear the superintendent talk about rumors going around. I'm glad I was the first speaker after that because they had, everybody signed up. They tried to get me not to be able to, but I was able to, thank God. And straight first thing I said after my name was, "You're a liar," because I got the proof right here. Because everything I found, I screenshotted. So even I knew, because I knew they were going to take it off and say, "Oh, blah, 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 let's just brush it under the rug." No, it was here. It happened. Our children were verbally sexually abused. That's the definition of what happened. Now, may that be against the law? Eugene police say it's not. Because I called the police this morning to file charges against the teacher, but they denied me because that's not a law. So that is something that I'm going to be working on now and changing some crap.
So you've also been filling out some paperwork today. Would you like to tell my viewers what you're
So
filling out?
I told every single school board member last night, I basically gave them an ultimatum. I wasn't the only one that gave him an ultimatum, but I gave him the ultimatum that if the teacher that is doing this, that did this, is still teaching there as of 8 o'clock this morning. No, I think I gave him till 9 o'clock to email me and say he's been fired. If I didn't receive that email, then I was petitioning for the recall of every single standing board member right now. And I have filled out every single one but one. And as soon as we're done with this, it will be filled out.
So Beth, what is your fear?
My fear is that it's over now. Now, what do we do? They made a very weak statement. The superintendent, in my opinion, was a coward. I understand he didn't create this mess. He wasn't here, but he has a chance to fix it. And he was so soft-spoken, and I don't say that as a compliment, that you could hardly hear his acceptance that something wrong happened. And then as we were talking, they all looked scared, and we can curse on here, right, Rick?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. They all looked scared shitless as parents were talking. And what I'm afraid of is that it's just business as usual now. We all said our piece. He read his statement. He clearly doesn't care. He has no balls. He doesn't there was no passion in anything he said. Why is he even working for the district if he doesn't care about kids? Where was his passion? There was none.
So I think what's troubling for me, and and I live in Montana, so this isn't really but it's my former town.
Yeah,
is that if you, how do I say this? I'm trying to figure out a way to say this, but I'm trying to figure out a way that if this happened in a different circumstance, people would be coming, heads would be rolling. I mean, people would be going, and whatever happened to the old adage to apologize and fix things, go into parents. What do parents need? I don't understand that about the culture we live in right now. I posted something wrong on a few weeks ago, and people proved it was wrong. And then I'm laying there and going, "Oh God, how do I get out of this?" I mean, I'm a human, and how do I go? I can't, because I did it.
Just gotta apologize.
And I just got on and I apologized. I had 30,000 responses, people watching, and people really are looking for truth. And I wonder how much it would have been, how humbling it could have been, and healing for the board to at least give you more than that, and to say, you know, I mean, this should not have happened. We're sorry that this went through, and we are looking for answers. We are trying to find out what happened.
He didn't say that. He didn't say anything as to what they're going to do different, how they're going to handle things different. He just said it's not going to happen again. Well, we can't trust them. And how hard is it? I understand innocent until proven guilty, but how hard is it to put someone on administrative paid leave so you can investigate something when you have so many claims to the same thing? It's not hard.
Well,
See,
it happens. It
it's
happens.
their policy to do that. And they always say, oh, policy this, policy that, but they don't follow their own policy.
Well, wouldn't that be the most fair thing too for this teacher, is to pull the teacher out, so kids can get back to, you know, some kind of normal, and that the school isn't like walking around staring at this guy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, get him on administrative leave, pay him because he's still innocent until they can prove anything, but get him out of there and at least let you guys see what's going on, and then be upfront and open with the community, because what they fail to remember is you guys pay, not the board doesn't make any money, but you elected them and trusted them, put your trust in them to make sure your kids are safe. And from what I see in that statement of the assignment, I don't feel like my kids would be safe in a class like that. I would, if they filled out that thing and turned it in and I didn't know where it was and it never got returned back to them, I would be, I would be filling out recall petitions. What do you do now in terms of, okay, so Justin's working on this recall thing. You have an election coming up with 4 seats open.
I just found out we had 4 seats open. The clerk's office sent me everything I need to know about filing and everything. It was like, oh, finally, just so you know, there's 4 seats open, and if we can get 4 people down to the clerk's office today by 5 p.m. and they paid a file for to get in.
You have 3.
We need 3 because we got 1 already. So we need 3 more by 5 o'clock.
No, you have 3. You have 3. You need 1 more by 5 o'clock. Because Dr. Bratland is running, and then there's 2 other guys he was telling me about. And there's
I didn't know about them.
Yeah, there's a 4th position open, and if you could get all 4 of those positions with people who had like minds and common sense,
I would be there, but like I said, we done sold house, we're buying house, we're moving out of the district. But just because we're moving doesn't mean that didn't happen when I was here, and I'm not stopping.
Right. So this is where here's my other question for both of you guys. I think this is what I feel like public boards and commissions and things like that do. They try to appease people, and then they just keep going. And it's like, no, so how do you keep the general public on this to say, listen, you guys, we have to keep going, because this wasn't a good enough resolution here. And it's not going to end with this. So you've got to go after this more. So the governor says something. Is she going to come in?
No.
And step in and do anything? Is she going to go to the Department of Education and say, can we look at this OWL program? Maybe
the chief director was there last night of education for Oregon. He was sitting 3 feet from me. Yeah. Sat on his laptop typing the whole time. I mean, he showed disgust. I wouldn't say anger, but disappointment. All sorts. Like when we were talking, he was listening. But as far as anything happening, I don't think they're legitimately gonna do anything, and that's why I filed.
It's all a show. And what I want to see, especially as a parent that has a kid in 4J that should go to Churchill in a couple of years, if we allow him, is that curriculum should be yanked immediately.
Yep. The whole thing done.
At least while they look into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Why is it still being taught to kids right now in 4J?
I think your battle right now, really, this is just me, is this curriculum, and how did this assignment, if it was the teacher who altered the assignment, then we need to know that. If it was an actual assignment that came from that curriculum, then parents need to know that.
And
Yeah.
how come we don't know yet?
Everybody's just saying it wasn't
Yeah.
me. It wasn't me.
And so what? So now on Monday morning, we all come back and go, okay, nothing happened. Here we go.
Yeah,
Well, it
that's
That's
did
what they're
happen.
hoping.
No, I
4J has a history of doing that. And usually what I have found with 4J is until you get legal stuff legally happening with lawyers, they will not do a damn thing.
Yep.
So the moral of the story here is you have to be involved in your school
Yes.
district.
Yes.
You cannot just vote for a name on a school board or a county commissioner, anything, because it sounded pretty.
Right.
Nope.
Or because
That's
you
right.
heard somebody say good things about them. You need to go check out for yourself. And when a school board is looking at a curriculum or whatever, they need to consider all parents involved, not just the ones
Yeah.
that line up with their way of thinking.
And we
Yeah.
need parents reading the books their kids are being assigned, reading the material they're being assigned. You need to monitor everything. You need to interview teachers before they have classes before your kids have classes with a teacher, interview them, review the curriculum, demand it. If they don't give it to you, pull them out. We need to put pressure on the teachers so the teachers get pissed off and talk to the principals, so the principals get pissed off and talk to the board. So parents need to get involved.
I
Yeah, see,
wonder,
'cause
don't you kind of wonder like how many teachers are out there going either that's not in the curriculum and they can't say anything, or where that came, you know what I mean?
I know.
And don't say
I
if
had a
there's
few
hearsay, but-
anonymous come up to me and actually tell me that and thank me for standing up.
Yeah,
Right,
you're not
'cause
allowed to speak freely if you work for 4J.
No, and I think there's a bunch of that. I don't want this ever. My mom was a teacher. My grandma was a teacher. My sister's a teacher. My dad was a teacher. Then he went to work for the OEA. People can't be perfect. I mean, the OEA put me through college, so I thank them for that. But other than that, they're the worst thing that happened to Oregon. But I think there's a lot of teachers out there that probably really can't say anything about this. But damn it, the school board is elected, and you are working for the people of the 4J district, and you got to give them more than this. And I just think parents need to stay on this and not let it go away. And what perfect timing. You have the opportunity to at least put 3 new people on that school board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
And so then you'd have 3, and whatever that last one is, if you could get 4, at least you're going to get some discussion, and you're not having just one side of an issue there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, thank you again, just for standing up and doing what you do and keeping me in touch with all
Thanks
this.
for listening to us.
And Justin, let me know how, when you get your recall thing going and all that stuff, and we'll see what happens. And if you do hear any more, please let us know. And our viewers, if you guys see stuff that's not rumors, we don't want to deal with rumors, but if you're actually getting information from the school or something like that, let Beth, Justin, myself, let us know, and we'll talk more about it. I know this was on, just for Dr. Bratlin was on Lars Larson today, and he was talking about this. He was talking about it the other day, and people from around the country, I just think this is absolutely insane.
Good.
Yeah, I'm glad. Good, because it is atrocious.
Once again, Oregon gets written into a place where, oh my God, they passed a measure that allows people to have drugs. Oh my God, they passed a measure that makes you get a permit before you get a gun. Oh my God, they're talking about giving every homeless person in the state $1,000 for a year and not having to make them prove anything. And now this.
This is what happens when you vote a certain way.
This is time for Oregon to wake up, because this is not the Oregon that we all love and know.
No, it's not.
Absolutely agreed.
All right. Thanks, you guys. See you later.
Bye.
All right. So again, if you, the best thing you can do is vote. So when that school board election comes up at the end of May, you participate and be a part of that, and make sure that you vote. It's Thursday night. We'll be back on Monday or Tuesday.
Go ahead.
We're moving. But because we care so much about our listeners, we're still putting a show out this week.
Well, you're putting a show out this week.
With Dr. Bajaj, or Dr. B on Instagram, Akash Bajaj. He does regenerative medicine, age management medicine, all sorts of cool stuff.
And chronic pain management, from anesthesia into lifestyle management. And so it's kind of a cool transition. Meanwhile, we're going through a massive transition with all this crap.
And check this out. when you start to move stuff, you find stuff. And look at that. That is an actual napkin from our wedding. We have 4 boxes, so we may send some to a lucky listener.
We ran out of toilet paper, so I think I'll be using these now.
And joining us now is Dr. Michael Bratland from Chris Dental Family Dentistry and Denture Center. But we're not here to talk about teeth tonight. Well, I guess it's kind of like teeth because you're going to take a bite out of education.
Yeah. We
So
can always, we can
announced this morning on Bill London, and you're going to be on Lars Larson today. So this is kind of the big announcement day. But tell people what you're going to do.
Yeah, I'm up until maybe last week, I wasn't absolutely sure I was going to run for school board. I was kind of going back and forth. I'm really busy. I got 5 kids, 2 foster kids, a wife I like spending time with. I'm a dentist, I have businesses. So it's a lot on my plate already. And I have a church calling. So it wasn't something I really wanted to do, but I felt kind of like I needed to do. And then last week when the essay assignment came out for Churchill, it made me realize I really have to jump into this race. And so I am scrambling a little bit to get, my website done. And there's a lot to do that I didn't realize to be running for school board.
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
Oh, it's insane. Once you commit to it, yeah. And I don't like it because I'm one of those people, I work really hard. I get up at the crack of dawn, work out, go to, I'm seeing patients. Go to my office. I'm there at 6:45. I usually go till 5. And then I just want to come home and veg. I'm tired. And now it's like every night it's another meeting. So it's a commitment, but it's a commitment that we need because I'm fed up. I'm fed up with how our school board is acting, and we need change.
So what was it about that assignment at Churchill High School that just said, okay, this is the final straw for you?
Yeah, it was like the icing on the cake. It's kind of the stuff we've heard, not to that extent, but we moved back from Roseburg. I grew up in Eugene, went to Churchill. We moved back to Eugene about 7-8 years ago, and it was blindsided. Like our kids went into school and it was all of a sudden our kids are being told on a daily basis, they're white privileged males. They're ripping on, Trump or Republicans. And it's been a shocker. And that essay was just kind of, like I said, the icing on the cake. It was so outrageous. It was beyond, it was creepy. It was pedophilia. And I'm one of those, when I talk to people, I wasn't like right away, hey, let's fire the coach, the coach or the teacher, because my wife's a teacher and she's a teacher in Bethel School District. But teachers receive a lot of curriculum that they have to pass along. And even my wife said, hey, before you get go down the road of saying this teacher needs to be ousted, let's find out where it came from. Who wrote it? Is this something, because now the kids have these assignments that are online, is this something that didn't even really cross the teacher's hand, go through him? And I don't know. And I think those are questions that we need to answer. We need to answer that weren't answered last night on the school board.
So I think you went to the board meeting last night because you heard so many concerned parents were going there. What do you feel even more like this is what you're supposed to do after being at that meeting? Oh,
absolutely. The board wasn't run. I've been in a lot of committees, and the board wasn't run a way that a business should run. And it is a business. It's a business of taking care of children. And so when I was up there and people are coming in and out of Zoom, I think that for the most part, everybody needs to be there. I know there's 1 or 2 of the board members that are nervous. There is security there. There's at one point, one guy got up and he rose his hand and he went up there and he said something really negative towards one of the students that was speaking. And immediately, and I give credit to the superintendent, he got out of his chair, walked around. He was going to personally escort him out. And then a bunch of parents got up. So I don't believe safety is really an issue. There's enough of the board members to the superintendent to security there. I think it's a safe place for all of the board members to be there, and they need to be there because it was obvious when I was there that some of the board members that entered into the meeting had no clue what was going on. They didn't read the minutes. They didn't read the agendas. There was, for a long time there, they were trying to take a vote, and one person wasn't even on screen. And it was very unprofessional. What I want to bring back to the board is professionalism. You can disagree with people, and that's okay. That's what business is about. It's come together. You don't agree with everybody, but at least you do it in a respectful manner. Some of these things should be discussed before they go live. But there's bickering back and forth, little comments underneath people's breath and rolling the eyes. And it's very unprofessional.
So I know that's one of the things you've talked about, because you and I have talked about this before, is you want to bring the resource officers back to the schools. Talk about that.
Absolutely. It's funny how one of the board members, I won't pick on her, but she's afraid of going to the board, going there on board night because of security. But on the same token, these people have not brought back, they're the ones that got rid of the resource officers, and now they haven't brought them back. We need resource officers back in our schools desperately, because we will, unfortunately, at some point we probably will have a shooting or something bad will happen in the school. And you know what will happen, Rick, immediately after there's something bad, a mass shooting or a gunman that comes to school? You know what's going to happen? The first thing they're going to do is bring back resource officers. And there's going to be this blame game where they're blaming everybody, and they're like, oh, hindsight's 2020. No, they knew this. They knew this. They need to have resource officers, not to prevent just a mass shooting, but it's also to keep kids in line. My son, two of my kids go to Sheldon, and they said there's a huge difference. Right now, they have two people that go there. They're not resource officers. They don't have guns. They're not law enforcement. And one of my sons like, yeah, we know we can get away with a lot more because it's not a police officer. There's just some respect, and there's respect, and people act differently. And I think it's also a great way for kids to bond and have respect for the law enforcement.
We had a police officer on the show, a parent, who was talking about this Churchill issue, who also used to be a resource officer. And he said, you're connecting with a lot of the kids that don't connect with teachers or connect with other people. Some of the more difficult kids he can connect to and set a lifelong more respect for police than having this adversarial relationship with them. And we already have that in our culture, and we kind of need to change that.
You know how many kids I was friends with when I was in high school at Churchill that were kind of the bad kids? They were always in trouble. And you know what? They went into it for the profession, law enforcement. Yeah, but it was funny because they were bad kids, but they connected. They had something. They admired the police at least. But I know so many kids that were just kind of troublemakers, and they actually end up being great policemen. And I think that's what we need. We need more. We need them back in the school. And it's not just to protect the kids. I think it's to protect the teachers. I think we have these kids. I got off of Twitter recently because every time I turn on Twitter, I would see a teacher get hit by a student. And I don't like watching that kind of stuff. And I finally just closed out my Twitter account because I'm like, I can't get on there and constantly see teachers and students getting hit. And that kind of behavior, and that happens everywhere. We need police officers to be able to immediately correct that and maybe prevent that from happening. You
had also said that you want you're real, obviously your wife's a teacher, so you're very pro teacher, but you really want to get behavior problems under control, because you were saying you hear a lot of stories from, I've passed you a lot of people that have written to me, and I say, talk to Dr. Bratlin, teachers who they're not allowed to rule their classroom.
They're not. This happens everywhere, not just in Bethel, but a kid will be misbehaving. They send them down to principals. And I think it comes from top down. I think it comes from the school board, superintendent, and maybe this fear of getting sued. But these kids they misbehave. They disrupt the classrooms. They throw things. They get on chairs, and they cause major problems. They distract the teacher. The teacher then tries to send them down to the principal's office. The principal then, and a lot of times, and this happens everywhere, they reward the kids. It's a different way of punishment. It's like, hey, why don't we reward them? Let's show them good. We'll show them how. If we treat them good, they'll actually respond better. And that's not the case. They come back to the classroom and they're worse than they were before because there was no punishment. We
And so
need to
what
make.
does that, and what does that do to the other students in the classroom who are there to learn?
Oh, well, can you remember, and I remember this,
Yep.
there's times when I was growing up where the bad kid got rewarded. And it just, you're like, what the hell? Like, this is not fair. The kids just should be rewarded. The kids are there to learn. And too many times, my kids have said that a million times. And my kids, I'll tell you, not all my kids have been perfect. I've been one of those where I've gotten calls from the teacher and I ground my kids, take away their phones. I actually had one kid that was not a good kid at school, and I pulled him out of school and took him to Willamette Christian Leadership Academy, and he shaped up really quickly. So go ahead.
So talk to me about education versus indoctrination.
We have to get out of indoctrinating our kids. One thing that I saw in the board meeting last night that I was dumbfounding. There was so much talk of DEI. Everybody was using the word diversity, equity, racism. That is not working for us. We have gone down this road for a long time, especially in Eugene. Kids are not happy. I think we're more divided than we ever have. Supposedly we're more racist than we ever have, which I actually don't believe we are. The suicide rate, and I'm not even going to give you the numbers, but I was horrified when I found out how many kids committed suicide in South Eugene last year. What we're doing is not working. We need to have a total change. We need to reform how our education system is in Oregon. We're putting all the money that we keep on getting, and it's double-digit increases every year from taxes. We're funding the programs more and more, but our test scores are going way down. We're in the bottom third or fourth in the country with graduation rates, dropouts.
Yeah, I think we're 38th, something like, or
yeah,
Oregon is.
Yeah, they now call them, and I wrote that in the article I wrote recently, that they're calling them push-outs. And I think that's kind of they're no longer dropouts or push-outs. And conveniently, the push-outs, we push out the minorities more, so it becomes a diversity, equity thing. We're not keeping these kids in because they come in, they're not learning anything. If they are a good kid and want to learn, they're not, because the classroom's disruptive. Nobody has teachers' backs. So I don't know what your question was, but
the latest statistics I saw from Bill London on our broadcast was that since the pandemic, 30,000 children have left Oregon public schools. Now, they can go in and blame whatever they want. But the bottom line is, if you were a competitive business, you're not competing. You're not.
If the 4J was a business, they would have went bankrupt a long time ago. They would have put foreclosure signs out. They do not know how to run an efficient business. And it is a business. It's a business of taking care of our children and protecting our children and protecting our teachers, and they're failing.
Well, and it's taxpayers millions of dollars that are, if you spent as a dentist or a businessman, and you have other ventures in your life too, if your return was 30,000 people leaving that would be kind of like, we need a new board of directors because this sounds like the Silicon Bank.
Oh yeah,
Silicon Valley Bank.
They fire me so quick. That's why we need change. I heard at the board meeting last night, there was a good quote that 40% of all new teachers will quit and leave the profession within 5 years of starting. That's horrible, because right now we can't find teachers, we can't find subs, we can't recruit people, because if they do come in, they're horrified and they leave. We have to do something, or there's going to be a major crisis on our hands. We're not going to have enough. We don't have enough teachers as it is. You bring in a teacher in and you put them in a classroom and you tell that teacher, now there's a new Senate measure, I think it's 819 that just passed. Sounds great from the outside. It's like, hey, we're going to not allow schools to allow kids. We're not going to allow schools to push the kids that have disabilities back home. What's happening though is these kids with ADHD, which all kids that have that disrupt the class now get diagnosed with that. Now what they're saying, it's going to be illegal for a classroom or a school to say, hey, to give those kids back to the parents, saying, listen, we can't handle that kid. That kid is too disruptive. He's causing it, so we can't teach. Now they're making a law where we can't, as teachers, can't get rid of that. We can't make that kid go somewhere else, whether it's home or somewhere else. They have to stay in the classroom. And I guarantee you that will cause more teachers to retire and get fed up with the profession. Can you imagine being a teacher and you're trying to teach, and you got this kid that gets onto a chair or a desk and starts throwing things, and now you cannot remove that kid from the classroom.
So not only is that not fair to that child, because he or she is not getting the help they really need. Yeah. It's not fair to the other 30 some kids in the classroom whose learning is being disabled by a student who's out of control. So what do you need people to do? Obviously to vote, but tell them when the election is and all that kind of stuff.
The election is in pretty much 60 days. It's May 16th. I need people to vote. We can actually, this is the first time in a long time that in Eugene, we can actually make a difference. If you're like me, there's sometimes I got a ballot and I sat on by my keys until after election, because I'd look at the ballot and I wouldn't know who to vote for. First of all, in the past, you'd read all the bios on the candidates, and they would sound horribly woke. I'm like, I'm not voting for them. I'm tired of wokeness. I want to just focus on academic excellence and not try to pitch my political ideology. So we are going to. You will be getting the mail if you're in Eugene area. You'll be getting in mail from me or from another organization. You'll get a slate card of who you can vote for to make a change. There's 4 seats that are open that are open this election, and we're hoping to change all 4 seats to more conservative values, not right-wing radicals. We want to be reasonable. You know me, Rick. I back Betsy Johnson. I love her, but I believe in everything she said. No, but I think you don't have to be one way or the other. You just have to listen to be able to listen to people. Right. I don't agree with everything you say. You don't agree with everything I say, but you got to be able to sit down, be professional, work with other people. I know there's people on the board. There's going to be 3 people on the board. I will work with them. But we have to work with the number one goal is to protect our children. And, right. And increase the academic excellence. And we're not the focus is on DEI and virtual signaling, and we got to get away from that because it's not working. And
if so, people will turn in that ballot, and the hope is that they vote all 4 new people in, so we can kind of clean house and we have to. You sometimes. Like a football team, they'll fire the head coach, and you might have really good assistants on that team, but sometimes you just need a complete change. And unfortunately, we can't change everybody on the board because there's only 4 seats and there's 7 seats there. But with 4, we can actually make a difference, and we can start changing the narrative. We can start focusing on what really matters is protecting our children, and we're going to be more professional. You're going to see everybody there, hopefully. I'm not in control of the people that will already be on the board, but we want to make people accountable. We want to be professional, and we want to protect our children. And I guarantee you, if all 4 of us get in there, resource officers will be back in school immediately. All right. Michael Bratlin, thank you for all your support. And also, I think you got guts, man. Maybe not. Maybe just stupidity. I tried to talk you out of it. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. No, I think it's great. And this is exactly what I've been preaching to people for years is you can talk all you want, but until people start running for office and doing something, it's not going to happen because somebody should step up. And how often do you hear that? Like, when is this going to change? When are you going to change it? And you're stepping up and saying, I'm ready to be that guy and I'm going to change this thing. I can tell you, if anybody had an excuse not to run, it would be me. I have 5 kids, 2 foster kids. I have all these businesses. I'm a full-time dentist. I don't have time for this, but I'm going to make time for this because our kids are important. All right, Michael, good luck on Lars. Have fun. Thank you. All right. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks. Bye. Thanks, Michael. And he did a great job on Lars. I listened in all the way from Montana. How's that? So there again, you've got a chance to get a new school board. And the question I would have for your school board that you guys should be asking them, I think, if it was me, I would be asking them things like, was that assignment in the curriculum? Because if it was, then why aren't you saying that? And you kind of have alluded to that, but was that particular assignment in there? And if so, then why? Why do you have that sort of curriculum in our school? Because something's weird here. The teacher's still working. and he put out an assignment that was supposed to be an assignment that's in the curriculum, and the district says it's in the curriculum, then it sounds to me like the curriculum screwed up. But the people who made the curriculum said it's not in the curriculum. So the board has some explaining to do, and I would sure push them hard. Our last sponsor for the night, and then you guys have a great weekend. We'll be back next week with women ranchers here in Montana and what they're up against, and all kinds of good stuff for your enjoyment. So here's our last sponsor. Good night. And what do you think that the community needs to understand more, or maybe more clearly, about what it is that Albert Taylor and your staff do for the community?
I think the community needs more education around developmental disabilities and IDD. I think that is the biggest barrier between the community and any agency in Lane County. They don't really understand what these people we support deal with on a daily basis. And I feel like if they were educated more on the things that they deal with and the issues that they have, then they would understand more what we do, and it would bring the community together better.
Because what they don't want, your clients, is to be felt sorry for.
Exactly.
What do they want? What do your clients want?
They want to be accepted just like you and me.